Hello, everybody. This is Erica Williams from the Classy Climb blog. Today, I'm with the Slow and Low series with Dexter L. Scott of Dexter L. Scott and Associates. He's a public speaker, pretty awesome businessman, and I'm so glad he gives us our time today. How are you doing, Dexter?
Erica, I'm fine, and listen, I'm extremely grateful for giving me this opportunity.
Hey, I'm from North Carolina, and when I love seeing people doing big things, I definitely want to reach out.
Awesome. Hey, I just
So Dexter, I know you're in the what we call, I guess we call it Central North Carolina, but really for us it's Raleigh area. And tell us a little bit where you're from today.
well, I'm from a small town called Enfield, North Carolina. I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of Enfield, but we're about, I would say, Rocky Mount, North Carolina is right off of I-95, about 15 miles north of Rocky Mount is where Enfield is. So, very small town in Halifax County.
I know about Halifax. I went to a powwow there while I was at East Carolina, so I'm like, I kind of have an idea. There's a lot of little towns in North Carolina.
Awesome.
So on this journey of entrepreneurship, is your family influencing you in this? Maybe your parents, your dad, or coworkers? Kind of who got you started on this journey?
I would always say it's kind of annoying, inside of me, God kind of placed this, there's more, right? And I grew up watching my father do different ventures, from farming, and I would watch him kind of go through the mindset of setting up businesses, attempting to really go out and do things big, alongside working for the state of North Carolina in the Department of Correction. So I kind of saw that growing up, but I would have to attribute going off to college and really seeing where this thing could possibly take me. So, it's kind of a thing where you actually just look up and soak up the environment. That's exactly what I do.
Well, that's really great. So what are some of the ventures you're doing currently?
Well, it's a number of things, and I'm excited to say that because, multiple streams of income is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity, based on Business Week magazine. But right now, my wife and I, we are part of an organization. It's a health and wellness company, and we are blessed. We've reached, we're the fifth to rank global director in the United States. So we're excited about that. Also, my wife and I, we own the Scott Training Group. It's a training company where we speak on influencing styles. We go in and we dissect the communications, even inside of churches. So we've been very successful doing that. And right now, I also run Dexter L. Scott and Associates, and we're a local motivational speaking company. We teach people how to craft messages, how to be confident in front of a room. So there's many things that we're doing, and I'm just so excited, where this is going to take us.
Man, that's really great. You have a basket of things you're kind of building there, but they all kind of fall under that umbrella of like training people, getting the mindset right, doing this. I find a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't have the different mindset yet, and they need some training and coaching. So I'm glad that's where you come in there.
Yeah.
So do you enjoy public speaking? Is it just fall into your neck, or?
Oh, I love it. I'm a student first, right? I learn from everybody. I mean, I can go to church, I can go to any type of corporate events. I'm always learning. I'm always soaking up. And one of the things that I have always noticed, I've always gravitated to the communication piece of whatever position that I had. It's interesting. I look at the jobs that I've had in the past, and I look at the fact that, outside of what my skill set was at the job, I always gravitated towards being able to communicate to people. And one of the things, they say that public speaking is the number one fear, right? And I say, you know what? We can dissect that a little. We can go in, right, and we can teach people not to be afraid in front of the room. Because most people are afraid because they don't know their subject matter. And that's one of the things that we teach at Dexter L. Scott and Associates. Know your subject matter, be yourself, and you'll be able to influence an audience. And that's what it's all about.
Man, there are two great things that just stood out when you said that. There is a quote saying, "Not all readers are leaders, but leaders are readers."
Yeah.
And there's another quote talking about, if you read the book, but you can't teach the book, go back and read the book again.
Exactly.
So it's so important to know your subject matter because people can feel the confidence when you're talking. They know if you know your subject and if they can get you with a question.
Yes, I was actually the master of ceremony at an event a couple of weeks ago. It's the third annual Business Networking Mixer. We had about 100 people there. And I told them, I said, I can teach each of you how to stand up in front of a room. I can teach you how to deliver a message, and you'll never forget your message. And they looked at me like, like, wow, really? I said, yeah, absolutely. I can teach you how to do that. So that's one of the things that, I've done with youth all the way up to adults, and it always works, and I just love this stuff. So.
Man, that's really good. I like that. So if I was to go around Raleigh, or I would go to any of your trainings, I kind of ask people in the audience, what do they think about you? What are some of the things you want to be a takeaway for the people in the audience when they're interacting with you or interact with your associates on the training?
One of the things that my wife and I would teach with the company that we're presently in is, and also to the audiences, I believe that they will say Dexter has passion, right? And there's a quote that says you must first act with passion before you have it. And that's transitional, because if we think about that, when we are mesmerized by people that stand up in front of a room, people that speak, what draws us in is the passion. So once you're drawn in by the passion, then you can actually concentrate on what the presenter is delivering. And that's one of the things that I make sure that I do. I want to make sure that everyone in the audience has an experience, because you're gonna retain more information from my presentation because I've drawn you in through the passion. So, and that's also one of the things that we teach. So I believe that if you were to ask people in the audience that are listening to me, what is it about what I'm doing? It is the passion, and it's also that passion that I put off for them to become believers in themselves as well.
That's really great. What are some of the tools or books or audio tapes you would recommend to some of the people, coming to your events, or, they can't make it to your event, what should they do? What are some of the things you'd recommend for them?
Well, I'll tell you, and my skill set is in public speaking. And I'll say this, one of the anchors that we have is when you learn how to become a better speaker, your life can change, not only in the position that you're in, but life in general. I went from a state government position to going to corporate. I doubled my salary because I learned how to speak. So one of the things that I encourage people to do is, I love YouTube. I love TED Talks. I watch it every single day. When I work out in the mornings, I'm listening to either Les Brown, I'm listening to Bill Winston, I'm listening to T.D. Jakes, Bill Johnson out of California. I listen to an array of people because what I want to do is just hone in on what it is that I'm trying to teach. So I tell people, if there's an area that you're interested in, go to YouTube. I mean, we have the internet at our disposal. Go in and just Google. Go to YouTube and find the industry. Find the person that draws you in and begin to listen to them. Begin to watch them. Hear what they're saying. And it's going to actually begin to create and work on the sales that we have mentally to actually help us to get to where we want to be. So that's what I tell people.
But that's so good. We call it Google University and YouTube College, right? Because I tell the young people, I'm like, listen, you go on there, you don't know how to do something. If you Google for it, you can find it. If you spend your time wisely looking for a niche or looking for something to learn, it's possible. And I'm so glad you mentioned YouTube, because there are so many people on YouTube making six figures, and people go, are they making it from the ads? No, they're making it from the exposure. Yes. From being on there. You don't know who's watching, who saw you, and now they're going to go, Dexter, I need you to come speak over here. And there's a great story of a guy. He worked on a delivery truck, delivering bread, I think in Chicago or Wisconsin. And you know what he started doing? For a year, he just started working on his speaking, working on his writing, and now this guy just landed an $80,000 contract for next year for like 10 different speeches. So he's not doing 100 speeches, he's doing like 10. And so it's a very powerful network and platform. And I think public speaking, they pay so well because they want you there. Especially colleges who I think they set aside the next year $2.4 billion. This is all the colleges, together, for public speakers. Because they would come in and encourage the college students who are like, what am I doing? Is this degree worth it? Where am I going? They need people like you. They need, they need African Americans, they need Latinos, they need Asians, they need everybody coming in and kind of giving that value.
Right.
And with that being said, I was going to ask you if a young man or young lady, and I usually use young men because there's a lot of young men who are looking for men on YouTube to listen to. If he came and he said, "Listen, Dexter, I want to change my life today. I want to kind of turn this thing around." Maybe he's in the middle of college or he's just right out of college. What is something you would tell that young person?
Right. There's a quote that says the thinking that has brought us this far has created some challenges that the same level of thinking can't solve. So that means we have to continue to progress. Now, even for me, what I began to do, and I had the opportunity to be blessed to train under Les Brown in the Empowerment Mentoring Program and Paul Martinelli for an entire year. So I trained under these guys, and what I began to do was just to listen and began to let that stuff feed into my mind, right? Begin to let the process of being more. You have to see it before you see it, right? You have to paint that mental picture. So, and I like a quote by Robert Frost. He says, two roads diverged in a single wood, and I took the one less traveled by. That has made all the difference. And that quote, it keeps coming to me because we can choose to go this way, right? But if we begin to work with those cells of our mind, the cells of our memory, begin to work with those things, we can make a different decision. So I would tell a young person, begin to go to YouTube, and I would tell them, go to Les Brown. YouTube Les Brown, and just start watching all of this stuff. And the more you do that, the more it's going to actually begin to work that mindset of yours to actually steer them down another path. Because what happens is, let's just face it. In this society today, we are governed by everything negative. When you turn the television on, 90% of what you watch is negative, right? So there's that small window. There's that other side of the road that we have to go down. And guys like Les Brown, guys like Paul Martinelli, they train us and teach us, go down that right side of the road. Don't go down the left, go down the right, because that's going to work with the mind. And then what we're going to notice is that, I'm not going to go in the direction of the crowd. I'm going to go the other way. And when we began to make the decision to go down the other way, that's when we began to affect people's lives. And that's what I would tell someone.
That's great. I like that. You got to work with Les Brown. I mean, that guy is still kicking it. I see his videos and I'm like, still out there speaking. Yeah. That's a really awesome training. I know that you're like, that guy's much.
It was transformational for me. It changed everything about my belief system. So he's one of the mentors that I attribute to. There's also Walter Bond. I'm actually under his mentorship right now, Mr. Accountability. He's phenomenal as well. So two people, Les Brown and Walter Bond. YouTube those guys would find some great information.
So Dexter, where do you see yourself and your company and your speaking in the next 2 years? Where do you see it going?
Okay, there's a number that I have in my mind, Erica. That number is 10,000. Right now, listen to this. Over the last maybe 5-6 years, I've spoken to over 50,000 people, right? In different segments of the year, mostly from the fall of August all the way to November. But I've spoken to about 50,000 people. Combined, my goal in 2 years, I want to be before 10,000 people. And once I do that, and one single speaking engagement, then I know that I've been able to effect change enough that that audience demands who I am. So that's my goal, 2 years. Of course, when we all say we want to be financially free, with my wife and I, we're there. We're just about there. Financially free. We're working on becoming millionaires because guess what? We want to leave a lineage for our children and our grandchildren. So that's all a part of it. But the magic number is 10,000 for me. So when I stand in front of 10,000 people and deliver my message, that's going to be that aha moment that Oprah talks about. 10,000 people. And Erica, as a matter of fact, when I stand in front of those 10,000 people, I want to send you a message and let you know it is done. How's that?
I want you to hold the phone up to the crowd. I love when guys do that at a speech where they'll take their cell phone and go, hold on, we're going to do a selfie. I love those moments because it's so surreal. Is there any books in the works, any ebooks, any little pamphlets or anything people should be on the lookout from you?
Well, I'll tell you now, these are some things that I've already done. I did a youth leadership over at St. Augustine's University. This is it. This is a DVD. I spoke to these young men for 3 consecutive weeks. There was 6 sessions. And I walk those young men, 30 students, I walk them through how to look at leadership from a historical standpoint, and even up to right now, what does leadership look like? And I walk them through each week. We walk through the process of how they're actually walking in leadership and they don't even recognize it. So I was able to go into the audience, speak to those young men, and just cultivate their mindset. So I have this DVD that I currently have on the market, and I also have a book called Stories of Inspiration and Leadership. And what I did is yeah, there it is, Stories of Inspiration and Leadership. Okay, and that's volume 5. And what I did is I worked with 5 other contributing authors, and we put together several different stories of inspiration and leadership. So people can go and look at this book and read 5, 6 different testimonies from different people in all walks of life that's going to walk you through what does it look like as it relates to weight loss, because it's an incredible story to hear about a gentleman that lost, I think it was over 300 pounds. Then you have my story of going through suffering a layoff situation and actually being able to walk into taking control of my financial future. So there's different stories, and I'm working on other books right now, so prayerfully they'll be out next year. But, it's just all kinds of things that are coming together. That's what I'm so excited about, because, we get this journey once, right? We're on this rock called Earth once. We've got to make a difference, right? So I'm just so thankful that I begin to learn how to access that right side of my brain to begin to be creative in creating different tools to help people step out of mediocrity.
I mean, that's so great that you literally it's step by step, and as we go stepping, we build the momentum. And so, you know what? By next year, you probably will speak in front of 10,000, maybe 20,000. There are a lot of conferences that need great speakers. They need people who are there giving the energy, because there's so many people who, I don't know if you ever heard of the Get Motivated conference.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, they come. They usually come to Raleigh. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were in Florida a little bit ago, and I would see that place, and when I sat there and I looked around, it was like people were just there to get out of work. But by the end of it, it was like, oh my gosh, like my boss bought us this ticket, and it's like a golden ticket. And so I really hope to speak in front of a really large audience, because when people start, feeling down and they go to these conferences, you can see the context and content, what's going on up here. Like it expands.
Right.
Like the whole in the mental map, what you're talking about is how people see themselves is really important, because if you can see yourself there, you go there, right? So when a lot of these young people see themselves, interactions with the police or going to jail or just negative mindset thinking, I always tell them, don't do that, because what you're doing is you're leading yourself down that road. You have to see yourself working. You have to see yourself in a positive light. You have to see yourself in a bigger picture than what you currently see. That's regardless of where you live or how your environment is.
Exactly right.
So I always give people this question, because their answer surprises me. Sometimes people say I wouldn't change a thing, and some people say I would do something different. So with all the knowledge you have now,
right.
And I used to say I drop people back off. For you, your point was the layoff point, right, in your story. Sometimes I drop people back off at 20, sometimes I drop them off at 24, but for you, we're going to drop you off with $500 and back into your layoff moment in your life. Is there anything you do differently? Is there something you think you would do now, since you know all this knowledge about this journey?
Going from the layoff situation and going forward, I wouldn't change a thing, or not anything. And the reason I say that is because when life pushes you into this massive pool, either you're going to learn how to swim or you're going to drown. It's one or the other. And that's what happened to my wife and I. We learned how to swim. I would not change one thing, because right now we are living a life that we've never lived before. And it was because we was pushed into the, quote unquote, the pool of life. And that's exactly what happened. I wouldn't change a thing. And if I can add to your question, if I were to change just anything about my journey, and that's why I'm so passionate about our young people, even adults, having someone that can speak into their lives. Sidney Poitier says something very interesting happens when two people walk together without ever being said. Either you adjust yourself to their themselves to And I would go back, and if I would have someone to say, Dexter, this is what you need to do. Someone to take me under their wing. Because, hey, I'm a college graduate, business management, and got out of college and didn't know which direction to go in. So it's kind of those things where you're trying to figure things out. But if you had someone to say to you, this is what you need to do. This is the pathway that you need to go down. If I had someone to tell me that, I could possibly be in a much different situation right now. And that's taken it all the way back to college. But, right, I wouldn't change a thing after the layoff. It's made us who we are today.
I love that. I love the answer either way because it shows so much about the person. Because if you wouldn't change a thing, you already know, like, this journey has been made possible by each step along the way.
That's right.
And I like that. I like that. So I'm not going to take up all your day. I'm not going to take up all your time, but I'm very excited to, I love doing update posts 6 months from now or a year from now.
I probably had 3 people inbox me to ask me, do you coach people on how to speak? Do you coach people to how to be more confident in front of a room? So right now I'm preparing another workshop, and I'm anticipating this to be a very large group, because what I'm going to do is from that particular presentation, I'm going to work with a few people. I'm actually working with a young man right now, and I'm feeding him some information. And like you said, it's all in steps. I'm feeding him information. I'm saying, check this out. Look at this. And I'm not going to get too much into what I teach about. But as a speaker, I sent this young man one person in particular. I won't say who he is because you got to come to my workshop to find out, right? But I told him, go and watch this speaker on YouTube. Watch how he delivers his message. Watch all the cues. Watch all the different things that he uses to make an impact with that audience. And he watched it and he messaged me back and he said, oh my goodness. He was actually being fed the information so that he could see that he makes a difference. And you know what? Let me say this, Erica, and this just popped into my mind. My wife and I, we were driving through, it was a Bojangles. This was probably 8 years ago. And when we went through the drive-through, the judge came through and he asked us for our order. And when we got to the window, we got our order and we drove off. And I said, Tanya, you know what? He won't be here for long. Oh my God, his incredible charisma, his ability to communicate to us through that system. And then when we drove around to the window, I wanted to see who this guy was because his energy just came through. And I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. So the thing that I teach people is you can make a difference right now where you are. Make the change right now. If people learn how to communicate in their present situation will change. So yeah, I'm working on a public speaking presentation as we speak. And I'm going to put that out there on social media and let people know that they can register for this. And it's going to be local right here in Raleigh because it is a passion of mine that I want to teach people how to actually make it work for themselves right now in their present circumstances.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I love when I go to fast food places or I go to somewhere and I go, what are you doing? What's your next step? And you'd be surprised what the cashier or the person in front of you says. Sometimes they're like, I got a sales job next month. I'm out of here. Or like, I'm going to college next week. It's a range of what people tell you when they work in fast food or food service. I don't know if you know a little bit about me, but like I went to Texas after having a business here in North Carolina, and I worked at a Papa John's, and everyone in that Papa John's was in a network marketing company. Wow. And every guy in there, it was 12 guy drivers, a couple more girls, they all own their own house. So when people go, oh man, these poor guys working at Papa John's, these poor guys doing this network marketing, half of them are not even there anymore. They've accelerated through the ranks. But they had what you talked about, communication, they had skill, and they had passion. And when you spoke with them, I was like, wow. Like I just realized, wow, these guys are heading somewhere, and that is awesome.
That's right.
And so you never look at where somebody's position is and go, oh, whatever. But I like that you're sharing that with us, so people know that they can register to an event you're having in the future in Raleigh, North Carolina, for mentoring and coaching. Because a lot of people get messages after we do these interviews, and so I just want to make it clear to the audience so they're not bothering you or heckling you about coaching if you don't do coaching. So, Dexter, please tell us some of the websites we can reach you at. Like, just tell the audience where they can reach you on Facebook, Instagram, your personal website. Tell them your wife's name so when they see her at events, they know who she is and who's speaking.
Right. Okay. So my wife, her name is Tanya Joyner Scott. So it's TonyA. Joyner, Joyner. Scott is the last name. And Tanya and I, we of course, we own the Scott Training Group. So what I find awesome about network marketing is it allows you, and I've told this to our group, personal development is incredible. Tell me, it's for the audience. Tell me what other industry that you can get in and go from your present situation to in 3 months being responsible for a team of 100 people. You can't do that anywhere else on the planet. So it forces you into personal development. It pushes you to learn more so that you can communicate to your team. So my website is dexterlscott.com. DEXTERL Scott.com. And I can also be reached at info at dexterlscott.com. Now, on all my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, you can find me at Dexter L. Scott. DEXTERL Scott. And I do a lot of social media, Facebook. It's absolutely incredible. I have tons of videos that I've done on Facebook, and I'm actually in the process of transferring that over to my YouTube page. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can. You can find me on Facebook, just inbox me. You're not bothering me because I have found what it is that I'm called to do in life, and that is to pull you out of mediocrity, right? That's what I do, Eric. I pull people out of mediocrity. We spend too much time in a box, and that box makes us unhealthy. That box keeps us broke, if you will. It keeps us from actually learning who we are. So my job is to pull people out of mediocrity and unlock the seal that empowers them. That's what I do. So it's not a bother to me when I get an inbox on Facebook at 1 o'clock in the morning. I check it, right? If I'm up, right? If I'm not exhausted, I check it. But I'm always helping people. That is what I've been called to do. So it's no bother. Get in touch with me on any of those social media sites, email, go to my website, and you can find me. I'm there.
So everybody in the audience, we're going to have those links available below in the information, but you can also check out in Scott's bar right now is his information for info at dexterlscott.com. So he's definitely open to questions, great emails, keep them positive. So Dexter, thank you so much for being on today. I love what you said about network marketing. I know people right now on Facebook and YouTube who have just blown up from those two mediums, books, speaking, a lot of growth as a person. I don't know if you know who Grant Cardone is, but Grant Cardone said the two things I recommend young people do coming out of college is network marketing or a sales job. He says because they will grow as a person exponentially. So everybody, today, this has been Erica Williams from the Classy Climb blog, coming today with the Slow and Low series with Dexter L. Scott of Dexter L. Scott and Associates. Dexter, thank you for your time today. Definitely tell the audience goodbye.
All right, audience, thank you all for tuning in. And listen, I'm going to unlock the seal to empower you. If I don't do it, somebody's going to do it. But I